A 34-year-old man with long, messy hair stands alone in the middle of a ruined city. He's convinced this place can only be hell. He grips his sword and thinks about where everything went wrong. One thought keeps coming back. If he had taken the sword seriously earlier, he might have stopped his older sister from being sent to the Empire, and he might not have become the monster everyone feared. But in that version of his life, he might never have met his master. She trained him from nothing and taught him everything he knows. When he looks back, the time he spent with her feels like the best part of his life, and he can't shake the feeling that he should have treated her better. Footsteps break the silence. A small boy shows up, shaking but stubborn. The boy blames him for his father's death and calls him a monster. Instead of denying it, the man almost brags, talking like the word monster is too small for what he's done. He brings up the scale of it without blinking. He didn't just kill people, he crushed the Tulkun Empire and wiped out the Imperial line, piling bodies high enough that counting stopped meaning anything. The boy goes pale and keeps trembling, but he still won't lower the blade. The man watches him and remembers what it felt like to be young and angry like that. Then he asks the boy his name. The boy says he is Jack Stewart, and the man's expression shifts, because he shares the same first name. He even laughs at the irony. After everything he's done, he can't remember a single Stewart. The boy says his dad wasn't perfect, but he was still the parent he needed. For a moment, the man almost seems jealous of that kind of simple bond. He doesn't apologize, and he doesn't try to explain himself. Instead, he gives the boy a brutal choice and tells him to take revenge right now, while the chance is real. He frames it like a clean story the world would love. Kill the monster, and people will call you a hero. He admits he could still escape if he wanted to, even injured. But escaping isn't what he wants. The boy finally tries to swing, but he can't finish it. He breaks down instead, like his hands refuse to cross that line. The man doesn't mock him for that. He presses him with a hard truth. Revenge might feel good for a second, but it can also leave you living with regret forever. He tells the boy not to grow into someone who survives only to be eaten up by what he's done. He's speaking like someone who already knows how that ends. His strength keeps fading. With what little breath he has left, he asks the boy to go back and tell everyone the demon is dead and the war is over. The boy can't understand it. With power like that, why choose a life that ends like this? The man can't give him a clean answer. His senses start shutting down, balance failing, vision blurring, breath catching, until the world goes quiet. Right at the edge of death, one last thought breaks through. If everything could start over from the beginning, maybe this pathetic ending could be changed. After everything ended in blood and ruin, it feels like he's drifting through a dream, like, for a split second, he's just a child again. Memories crash into him in fragments. A father who doubted he was truly his son. A mother he never got to meet, gone at the same moment he was born. An older sister whose beauty was famous far beyond their household. And a half-brother who never stopped bullying him. The images come so fast that he can barely breathe. How he abandoned the name Jack Valantier, became a swordsman, and wandered the continent as the Sword Ghost. How the Second Continental War erupted, and how he stood at its center as the victor, merciless, feared, and branded a monster even among monsters. He destroyed the Tulkun Empire that dominated the Western continent, erased everyone who carried the Tulkun name, and kept winning until victory itself stopped meaning anything. He comes to a place that feels too solid to be an illusion. The air, the light, the weight of his own body, none of it feels like magic. Confused and shaken, he realizes the impossible has happened. He's back in the past. He's 14 again, reborn as the youngest child of the Marquis House of Valtenier, a renowned loyalist family in the Teslan Kingdom. In theory, the third child should be able to live comfortably as long as he doesn't fight for the position of heir. But his house is an exception. Instead of comfort, he's been placed in the Rose Garden, an annex that looks beautiful, yet functions as exile. Its purpose is simple: keep the youngest child isolated, without allies, without a household of his own, and as far from the outside world as possible. While he's sitting there trying to process it all, someone calls out and brings him something to drink. It's Ron the butler, and the only person in that place who treats him with real care. Jack studies him quietly, thinking the Ron he remembers was always a clever one. As he takes the glass, he casually asks if there's poison mixed in, which visibly rattles the servant. Jack quickly waves it off as a joke, thanks him for looking after him, and the tension breaks. Ron laughs, tells him not to push the joke too far. Jack then lays out the reality of the Rose Garden. Aside from Ron, there are 10 soldiers stationed nearby. They aren't caretakers at all. They simply watch, tracking every move from a distance. With the shock still lingering, he tries to force his thoughts into order, but there's no plan waiting for him, only the fact that he's been given a second chance. And the problem becomes obvious the moment he looks at his hands. This body isn't the one that survived wars. No calluses, no training, none of the hardened instincts he used to rely on. Compared to other noble children his age, he feels painfully behind. He starts to think there must be a reason his younger self never even began mana training. And then the answer hits him. A sudden blow to the head snaps him forward and knocks the drink from his hand, spilling it across the ground. The one who struck him is Phelan Valentir, his brother, the second child of the family, and 3 years older than him. And in that instant, Jack realizes the most important detail of all. The reason he never trained mana in this life wasn't a lack of talent. It was that Phelan's threats and abuse made it impossible. Jack remembers what his childhood with Phelan was really like. His brother treated him like trash and kept reminding him that he could finish him whenever he wanted. Phelan didn't just bully him. He also tried to cut off every path forward, warning him not to learn sword skills, magic, or anything that could make him useful. Jack thinks back and realizes he used to be weak-kneed. People laughed at him for it. And it wasn't only inside the house, outsiders mocked him too. He thinks back to how Phelan acts now, puffing himself up like the future of the family. To Jack, it's ridiculous, because the firstborn in their house isn't even a man, but a woman. That thought pulls him to his sister, the only one who ever treated him like family. But even as the firstborn, she can't inherit the title because she's a woman. Jack knows her life is already planned out. She'll be pushed into a marriage her father approves of, and expected to carry the family line from the inside of some quiet estate. And the worst part is who stands in front of him. Jack realizes Phelan is the one who wants to use her situation the most, like she's just another tool for power. He can't hide his anger anymore. Phelan notices the way Jack is looking at him and takes it as an insult. He moves to hit him, expecting the usual fear, but Jack grabs his brother's wrist and stops the punch. For a second, Phelan freezes like he can't understand what just happened. Then Jack flips him and slams him down hard enough to wipe the smugness off his face. Embarrassed and furious, Phelan starts gathering mana. Jack understands the guards can see exactly what's happening, but they don't want to step in. None of them wants trouble with the second son of the family. The whole situation feels like a bad joke. Before Phelan can push things even further, Ron rushes in. He steps between them and begs Phelan to stop, warning him not to use mana here. Phelan answers by punching the servant in the face. Our boy doesn't rush to help because he remembers Ron isn't just a regular guy, and that he has secrets of his own. Phelan then tries to drag Ron into it too, talking like he'll kill them both. MC stays calm and keeps poking at him, like he's testing how easy it is to make him lose control. He judges Phelan's level as the third circle brat. To Jack, that still means Phelan is just a kid swinging a pricey sword. He uses what he knows about how mana spreads through the body and aims for a weak spot. Our boy grabs Phelan by the face and slams his head into the pillar, dropping him to the ground. For a moment, everyone just stares. The guards and the servant look shocked, because nobody believed Jack had this kind of strength. One guard reaches for his sword, but Jack shuts the group down with a single warning. He makes it clear they'd better not move, or they'll end up just like Phelan. That's enough to stop them. Then he drags Phelan to the fountain. With a calm face and a cruel smile, Jack forces his brother's head down into the water as if he's cooling him off, not helping him. While Phelan struggles, Jack's thoughts turn darker. He remembers how things started falling apart after his sister was sent to the Empire, and how their father later died from poison Phelan mixed into his drink. After that, Phelan takes the Marquis seat. With the Empire behind him, he does whatever he wants until their entire house quietly collapses. Jack doesn't pretend it's about loyalty to the family name. What makes him truly angry is simpler. His sister's sacrifice meant nothing in the end, because people like Phelan threw it away. His mind goes to her time in the Empire. Elizabeth was smart and refined, and she chose to go because she loved her family and understood what it meant. The man who took her was the fourth imperial prince, rumored to commit all kinds of disgusting acts. Even at the altar, he makes it clear she isn't treated like a real wife, ordering her to keep her head down, obey, and smile. And because she cared about her family, she endured it. She nodded through everything and swallowed every humiliation. Jack snaps back to the present, with his anger still boiling. He tries to shut those thoughts down before he loses control. Phelan starts begging. Jack recognizes that face instantly, the same fear he saw countless times in his past life, right before people thought they were going to die. He leans in and pushes harder, basically telling Phelan to think carefully about what he's done so far. And if he can't remember, Jack hints he'll make sure he does. Phelan finally breaks and promises anything if Jack stops. Even when he begs for mercy, Jack still lands at least one more hit, as if he refuses to end it politely. After that, Jack turns to the knights and tells them to take Phelan away. He points out Phelan isn't dead, so they can carry him out and leave. As they drag Phelan away, the courtyard goes quiet again, but the damage is done. Word of what Jack did spreads through the house in an instant, and the balance inside the family starts to shift. Two servants carry Phelan back into the mansion. His purple-haired mother looks horrified. Jack's half-brother, also the future heir, backed by the powerful Count Mantis family, ends up on a bed with a wounded head. On top of that, he has an irrational fear of water after what happened at the fountain. Jack goes back to his room like nothing happened. He eats cake in peace while Ron watches, worried. Rumors spread fast. Phelan was called a genius, who reached the third circle at 17, so everyone keeps asking the same thing: how did the youngest beat him? People start making their own stories. Some think Jack hid his strength, and others wonder why he chose this moment, right when Phelan is close to being confirmed as heir at the coming-of-age ceremony. Once the news reaches the Marquis, he immediately orders them to bring him the third child. Meanwhile, Jack keeps eating his cake, praising how good it tastes and thanking Ron, who seems to be the one who made it. Then another maid steps in and delivers the message. The head of the house is summoning Jack to the main building. Ron tries to follow, worried. Jack waves him off and basically tells him he's not a baby. So Ron bows and lets him go. On the way, Jack feels the stares again. People look through him like he doesn't belong. At the entrance, two knights block him. They block the door and don't answer. The old Jack would have backed down. This one doesn't. He gives them a warning they can't ignore and forces a reaction. Then he reminds them the head of the house called for him and asks why they're standing in the way. They still try to make him wait outside like it's punishment. Jack gets tired of it and decides he won't play along. So he leaves and makes it their problem. He tells the guards to pass a message to his father. If he really wants to talk, he can come and say it to Jack himself. After Jack leaves the main building, a servant reports it to the Marquis. The old man just smiles and remarks that the youngest son has changed quite a lot. Later, our MC sits outside in the rose garden with a drink. Something catches his eye in the distance. The Marquis is coming, surrounded by servants and family like always. Jack almost laughs. His father looks just as stubborn as he remembers. In Jack's mind, the man is more like a ghost than a parent. He's the kind of person who once tried to end him, and who would trade his own child to a thug just to gain power. The Marquis doesn't waste time and asks why Jack did what he did to Phelan. Our MC answers with another question, and acts like he has no idea what he's talking about. That attitude sets off the purple-haired woman. She screams, asking how dare he speak that way to the head of the house. Jack stays calm and suggests they talk inside. Then the Marquis releases a heavy pressure of mana. Jack realizes his father is testing him and checking one thing. The old man is looking for a mana heart. Jack can tell immediately he's being examined from top to bottom. He doesn't have one, and the Marquis confirms it. Still, he says the kid has real talent in martial arts and asks why he hid it until now. Jack knows the real answer would sound crazy, so he keeps it simple and says he just didn't want to. The purple-haired woman starts again, calling him insolent and mocking his blood. She calls him a mere commoner's child. The Marquis shuts her down with a single command. Then he says something that makes Jack's mood turn cold. He admits he once saw Jack as worthless, but now he says Jack can actually be useful. That line hits harder than the shouting. Jack basically questions what that means. Was he not his son when he had no value? The Marquis then offers him a choice. He asks if Jack wants to be acknowledged as his child. Our boy rejects it right away. He isn't interested in recognition that only shows up when he finally has value. Surprisingly, the Marquis doesn't blow up. He accepts the answer, turns around, and leaves. Jack watches him go, confused. Why come all this way just to leave without even getting angry? Before they can walk off cleanly, Jack turns to the purple-haired woman. He calls her second mother and comments that her face has aged fast, telling her to take better care of herself. Her expression twists with rage. Jack enjoys it because she never helped him once. He finishes with one last jab and tells her to send his regards to the second son. Then he sums it all up with dry sarcasm. What a harmonious family. Back in his room, Ron brings official news. Jack Valantier, the third young lord, has been sentenced to 20 days of solitary confinement for causing a commotion in the mansion. The butler hesitates after saying it. He asks what happened while he was gone, but Jack tells him to stay quiet and not distract him from what he's doing. Our MC finds the butler's reaction strange. Ron would have ignored everything if Phelan had beaten Jack. So why does he look upset now? He pauses and thinks about the punishment. He's already exiled in the Rose Garden, so solitary confinement sounds like a joke, just another room. Then Ron mentions the academy break is almost over. That one sentence makes Jack freeze. He remembers he's 14 again, which means the Imperial Academy is mandatory for nobles. If you can walk and breathe, you attend. It's 4 years of study starting at 14. Jack is still in his first year, and the first semester has already ended, so summer vacation is ticking away. He quickly counts the damage. Only 27 days are left, and 20 of them are being taken from him. Worse, the trip to the academy takes about 6 days. That means he'll be sent out almost immediately after getting released. Jack can't afford to waste time arguing over the Marquis' decisions. His master is tied to the academy, and that's the one thing he refuses to miss this time. So he makes up his mind. He's going to the academy, no matter what this house wants. When he finishes what he was working on, Jack asks Ron where the solitary confinement room is. The butler goes silent, and Jack impatiently asks if he swallowed his tongue. Ron finally explains there's only one place in the estate that fits that name. It's the holding area for criminals who commit crimes in the territory. Jack stares at him, stunned, and asks if he means a prison. Ron confirms it. That answer makes Jack snap. He's furious, and he makes it clear he's not letting this slide. Jack decides to go to prison on his own, without waiting for an escort. He doesn't want to lose the last bit of dignity he has left. Ron follows him with a handkerchief in his hand, wiping tears like he's watching an abandoned kitten walk away. Jack just tells them to hurry up. His cell is still better than what most prisoners get. He has a bed, a bathroom, and 3 meals a day. But the place is still miserable. It's a small, cold room with a blanket that looks like it hasn't been changed in centuries, and food so bland even flies wouldn't touch it. With nothing to do, Jack ends up thinking for hours. For a 14-year-old, that's almost worse than the punishment itself. He reminds himself how this world works. Inside a noble's territory, local law matters more than the kingdom's law, and the lord can punish people however he wants. That's why this is so bitter. Jack didn't start a rebellion or commit some major crime, yet his own father still threw him in prison. He also knows this incident won't be told honestly. The family will protect Phelan, and they'll paint Jack as the greedy disgrace who used forbidden tricks, while the noble second son tried to stop him and even forgave him after getting hurt. Just imagining that story makes Jack sick. He tells himself he can stay here a few days, but he can't waste his vacation rotting in a place like this. He could run away right now, but he doesn't. There are 3 reasons he won't move, yet his sister, Ron, and most importantly, his master. And there's a 4th reason. He's back in his original body with no real muscle, still too weak to survive on his own. Jack isn't delusional about the world. Survival of the fittest rules everything here. The strong devour the weak. The weak don't even amount to fertilizer. He tells himself he won't repeat the massacre he caused in his past life, but he still has people he needs to face, and people he still owes revenge. So he comes back to the same answer. To do anything, he needs 2 things: time and power, and the academy can give him both. It buys him time to rebuild his strength, and it puts him on the path to grow fast with everything he remembers from his old life. But he doesn't wait for the academy to start. This prison is private, and no one is watching, so he begins mana training right there. Mana starts gathering in his hands. He presses his palms to his chest, and a faint blue glow forms. It's a good thing he's alone. No one can know what he's doing in this cell. He runs through the ranks in his head as he works. 1st to 3rd circle are beginners, 4th to 6th are specialists, 7th to 9th are high circle mana users, and the rare 10th circle are masters people they call superhuman. And then it happens. In only 2 hours, Jack forms his first mana circle. He almost wants to celebrate. Back in his past life, he didn't even start learning mana until he was 17. So doing it now feels absurdly easy. He lifts his hand and stares at it for a moment, impressed. Then he quickly shuts that reaction down, reminding himself again no one can find out. A sound comes from the hallway. At first it reminds him of the Marquis' steps, so Jack wraps himself in the blanket and pretends to be asleep. But then he realizes the footsteps are lighter, and the voice that follows makes his body jump. Someone calls him Jackie. Jack sits up fast. On the other side of the bars stands his sister, Elizabeth, tears in her eyes. reaching through the iron and asking if he's badly hurt. When she calls him Jackie, he freezes like he hasn't heard that name in years. Tears slip out before he can stop them. He holds her hand against his face and smiles, telling her he isn't hurt. Elizabeth doesn't buy it. She asks why he used forbidden magic at all, especially when she once told him she could teach him magic anytime. Jack tries to answer, but his mind keeps drifting. He's just staring at her like he's scared she'll disappear. Elizabeth gets nervous and asks if he can even hear her. Jack wipes his face and says he's happy. That only confuses her more. To her, this is a cold, filthy cage, and he's acting like he's seeing something beautiful. Jack finally explains why. He's happy because this moment is real, not another dream where he never gets to see her again. Elizabeth looks at him like he's lost it, but then he suddenly turns serious and asks a question he's been holding back. He suggests they run away. He talks about leaving the Marquis house behind and living somewhere quiet, maybe deep in the nomad forest, growing food and training together. Elizabeth is shocked, but Jack keeps going. He says he knows how Phelan and the Marchioness treated her, and he'd rather throw everything away than watch that happen again. He even pushes the idea further, saying she could meet someone who truly cares about her, instead of being used. He keeps talking, and it's clear he means every word. Elizabeth snaps at him to stop. She yells that he can't speak about their father like that, because he's still their father no matter what. She also believes the two of them were born from the Marquis' love for their mother. So to her, abandoning the family isn't just running away, it's denying that past. She admits she knows Jack has suffered, but she insists she'll change their father's view of him someday, and she asks him to endure just a little longer. Jack doesn't argue with her logic. He just looks at her and says he's genuinely glad he can see her again. That softness makes her flustered for a second. Then he asks her to step back from the bars. Elizabeth does it, confused. In the next moment, Jack gathers Manna in his hand right in front of her. She's stunned and starts firing questions. Jack ignores the shock, breaks the lock, and opens the cell door like it's nothing. He steps out and hugs her tight. Then he apologizes in a way that feels too heavy for a 14-year-old. Elizabeth grabs his shoulders and checks his face, worried something is wrong with him. Jack forces a small smile and tells her he's fine. Then he makes a promise. He says things will be different this time, and she won't be the one sacrificing everything again. He swears he'll make sure she can live the life she actually wants. And for a moment, it feels like he's begging her to believe him. But his thoughts turn dark right after. He remembers what's coming at the academy, and the man tied to her future, the 4th Imperial Prince. In his past life, Jack eventually captured that prince and learned the truth about what happened to Elizabeth. The memory is so ugly, it still burns. He remembers chaining him down and forcing answers out of him because rage was the only thing keeping Jack standing. That's the moment he realizes again why he became a monster. One feeling remains, clear and cold. Jack knows he will never forgive the Tolkien Imperial family for what they did to his sister.